All right, thanks for tuning in to the Black Delegates Podcast. I am your host this week, Ishmael, a.k.a. Ghetto Phenom. As you know, with the NBA in session, we had a couple of Game 7s, right? And so what happened with the Black Delegates Podcast this week is it was Game 7. And the coach, he called me. Actually, he texted me. He said, yo, Phenom, we need a bucket getter this week. We need somebody to step up and be the leader and host the show this week because the Black Ryan was talking a little alt-right last week. So they put him on the bench. No, just kidding. With me today, I have your normal host, the Black Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
What up? You know, just like LeBron James, I'm so tired from carrying his team. I thought I would give Ishmael a shot to do his part. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said, put me in, coach, put me in. With us today also, we have alt-right Poppy, a.k.a. Paul. Paul, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? I'm just like Kevin Love, sitting on the bench with my sunglasses, not knowing what the hell is going on.
Got knocked in the head. And G has been suspended. He got too many technical fouls, so he had to sit out the game today. But G will be back with us next week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into This Week in Blackness. Ryan, since you're used to going last, being the host, tell us about your Week in Blackness this week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My Week in Blackness, it was very black. I had a situation where I was having some car trouble, needed some shocks on my vehicle, and, something I probably could do myself, but sometimes you're like, hey, is it worth my time? Is it worth my money? This time, it was worth my money. So called up the homie, Joe the mechanic. Ishmael hooked me up with Joe many a moons ago, and I've been using him to fix my stuff for forever, it seemed like. I don't remember not having Joe to fix my car.
I feel like every black person in America knows Joe the mechanic.
Hey, everybody should if you don't.
Everybody should. Joe is a lifesaver. I will attest to that.
Yes, sir. So this time I had been trying to get in touch with him, got the new job. I ain't really got as much time off, so I can't, move like I normally would. I don't have my work from home days anymore, so I can't schedule it that way. And I've been trying to link up with him for the past 2-3 weeks. Haven't been able to do it. Called him up at the end of last week, hoping that he wasn't going out of town because he usually got out of town with his family and for the holiday. And I asked him, was he free on Friday? Because I was off anyway. Young Trenton graduated from preschool. Shout out to Trent.
Yeah.
And so he told me some bad news, man. And he was like, well, I'm working at a shop now. And at first I was like, oh man, congratulations. I like to see a black man come up, been hustling all these years. Maybe he finally decided, hey, I got a couple people normally work for me. I can do a shop. Man, he was like, oh, no. I'm working for a shop. And I was like, man, I know Joe ain't out here working for the man.
Right.
Man, it broke my heart when he told me that, and I was sad. And he told me that he would give me a call back and let me know how much the shop charged. And I'm like, all right, man, fine. So, I waited, and praise be to God, he called me back and he said, you know what? He's like, I'm just gonna come fix it myself. I'll do it for you. And he's like, I could come do it on Saturday. So I was like, yeah,
Ooh, double dipping. Hey, double
praise
dipping.
him.
Yep. So he came out, hooked it up. Fixed it real quick. We had some good conversation, and I must say, y'all got to be better to your street mechanics. We got Joe out here. He out the game because he said he got to worry about people trying to rob him, people trying to stick him up, people trying to cheat him out of his money or not wanting to pay him after he done fixed their cars. That don't make no sense. These brothers are out here. They not crackheads, all of them. Joe is not a crackhead. He's an upstanding citizen. He out here just working, trying to feed his family, man. And we out here trying to cheat him. And so the brother said it was just easier for him to just stop. He got tired of looking over his shoulder all the time, going. And he said some ladies had been trying to, attack him a couple times, because he couldn't fix their car or something. Yeah, man, it was pretty bad. I can't believe it. So, treat your street mechanics with respect. They are performing a community service out here. My man fixed my car.
And they can't do every single thing, man.
They can't do everything.
Yeah, man. If your car being totaled, they can't fix every single thing. So just chill.
Yeah.
And the thing with Joe is that you didn't really paint a clear picture for the viewers. Is like you say, he's a street mechanic. He'll come to you, fix your stuff up, But even though you said he's not a crackhead, Joe had those crackhead.
He got the crackhead prices though. Yes,
he got the crackhead prices.
So give me an example. What we talking?
I'll give you an example. When I had my Ford truck, I had a little Ford Ranger, and the fuel pump went out on it. I was like, man, I had to get it towed to a shop. Shop told me $1,000 for a fuel pump. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't got $1,000. So I talked to another guy about it. You know, he said he could do it. He was going to do it for like $400 or something like that, but it was going to take him like 2 or 3 weeks because he was doing it when he get off work and this and that. So I finally hit up Joe, who I should have hit up first. Maybe I hit him up after the shop, but he was busy or something. But Joe ended up doing it for like $250. Nice. You know what I'm saying? So $1,000 job at a shop, he did for $250. Now that $1,000 was, you know, a bit high, but it was just like everything. If I went to a shop, because I used Joe for several years until I started getting newer cars under warranty, but something that I would get quoted for $750, Joe would do for $250, $300. So he was always 1/3, 1/4 of the price of a mechanic, and he was a legit dude. So he did, you know, quality work. He was a real mechanic.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was good every time. Never had a problem. Never had to call him back a second time. But yeah, man, and he hooked me up on the price too. You know, because we had to ride. I had to find a bolt because the bolt had came out of my shock and it fell down, and you know, all the hanging down and all that kind of stuff. So we went up to True Value, got that. So it was a long time. We was talking, went to AutoZone, went to a couple places, and I stopped at the ATM on the way back to pick up the money for him. And I was like, yeah, man, you said, because he was like, I usually charge $75 a piece. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was getting the $150, but of course you can't get no 10s at the ATM. So I'm like, yeah, I'll give you $160. I was like, you said $150, right? So I'm going to give you $160. I said, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. So I want to make sure I give you a tip. You see that, Paul? What? Because this is my dude. Tip, man. This is my dude. This is my dude.
$10 tip for Joe.
Yes.
Hold on, man. We
so I've given him more before, but this time I had to do that. That's all I had.
Ryan tip. So, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So then he looked at me and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it for $100. I was like, what, man? I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. I even offered him the money later. I was like, nah, man, do you want to take all of this, man? I don't want to do you like that. I appreciate your time. He's like, oh, no, it was nothing. He's like, it's easy. Yep.
Wow. Hey, that's I think we got our shout out for a black business right there.
Yep. They don't make them like Joe anymore, man. Don't make them like Joe.
Okay, so before we move on, one last question. So what is the etiquette? You just pay the man? Do you give him some beer or some sodas because he's sitting out there under your carport in the hot sun? I mean, what is the etiquette when you're dealing with a shade tree mechanic? Because I've never actually utilized one. So I'm trying to learn here.
For me, it depends. If I know you're doing I usually always offer like, hey, if you want some water or something. I never just left Joe outside. I usually will hang out with him if I could and talk to him while he's working. He ain't seem to mind. You know, he's a talkative dude. And, but, you know, sometimes I was working and stuff, so I didn't have a chance. But I would always keep coming back out, ask him if he needs some water or whatever. So, yeah, you can offer him whatever, man. I mean, I've had other street mechanics where they were crackheads. So they'd be like, hey, I do this for this amount and a tall can. You know what I'm saying? Or I do for this amount and whatever. And, you know,
do this for 2 rocks.
It ain't that. I've never in my life given anybody drugs for their services. I'll give you the money. But, you know, if you want a beer or something, I would do that.
Gotcha. So what about you, Paul? How was your week in brownness?
My week in brownness was not brown. It was black. It was Wesley Snipes black.
Wow.
Wesley Snipes black. We talking Akon Wesley Snipes level of blackness here. So I got 2 short stories I'm going to hit you. First of all, finally saw Black Panther this weekend. So had a 3-day weekend.
What are air horns at?
Nothing else to do.
About time.
Yeah, so I finally caught up. I'm now, you know, in the.
It was on Netflix. You just watched it on Netflix.
I know. I rented. Just like Get Out. I had to use my Amazon Prime, so I got the Roku on the TV because you know you and Ryan hooked me up and you know taught me the ways of the streaming a few months back. So I got all the TV streaming now. So I got Amazon Prime, rented it off there for like $5.99 or whatever it was. So caught it this weekend with the wife, and it was good, man. It was good. You know, just these like I was telling Ryan, you know, these comic book movies. You know, I'm just not. I checked out comic books when I was a kid a little bit, but I'm not super duper into it, and I just haven't kept up with it. So anytime I see these stories, I'm always thinking like, oh, okay, this is some real interesting stuff. But I always kind of want to know like what's the backstory on this and that. But it's just too much to fit into the movie. So had me asking questions to myself during the movie, like why is it like this, why is it like that? But overall, man, it was a good movie. I see why people I see why black people are so positive about it and so enthused about it. It was an overall good movie. I mean, the special effects were amazing, as you guys know. The characters, I really enjoyed some of the characters, particularly the little sister. I thought she was actually for some reason I thought she was my favorite. She was kind of the comic relief, but I enjoyed her. Yeah, so I liked her. But I did have some critiques. Do you guys want me to get into my critiques, or you want me to just kind of move on to my next topic?
Yeah, let's move on to the next.
Since you're seeing it 2 years later, we got to leave the review.
All right, but
afterwards.
I don't want the review. I just got some questions, but I will say this one thing. Not one damn brown person in the entire Black Panther. That is some mess. You had the one white dude. He was in Wakanda for literally 3 hours, and you put him in charge of the entire Air Force. You couldn't put one brown person to be a maid or a sidekick. You couldn't be like the Robin to Black Panther. You couldn't have like a little dingo warrior and be a little brown dude. Nothing. But the white dude's in charge of the Air Force.
Wakanda is not in Puerto Rico. It's in Africa.
and then two, the big dude that was living up on the ice mountain. There ain't no way a group of black dudes is going to voluntarily go live on an ice mountain when there's another tribe that they live in the same country with, and they got all that technology and they got air conditioning and heat. They ain't gonna live on that mountain voluntarily, man. That's a mess. That's not happening. I know that. So that's the only two things I get into right here. But that's my only two critiques. But now let me get into my other story. So that was the positive black side of the week. Now the negative side, there was some brown on black crime, and by that I mean I had to kill a black snake, y'all.
Oh no!
Yes. So your boy
is brown
mean? On black.
Is this innuendo?
No, this is exactly what I mean. This ain't no gay slang. This ain't no gay slang. Had to kill the black snake this week. So I'm sitting here working from home. My wife's going to go pick up the kid from school. She pulls out the driveway, and so we got like a 3-car garage, and so she comes out the main garage, and so as she pulls off, I'm thinking, okay, whatever. Just like a minute later, she calls me from outside. She calls me, it's like, hey, there's a big old snake outside, and I'm like, oh man. So we live like in North Carolina. We live near the woods. There's some woods behind our house. It's not a lot of woods, but I know there's definitely probably some snakes back there. Probably some copperheads because there's like a little creek, ravine back in there. And but this is a big black snake, probably about 4.5 feet. And so like first I come out there, I just got my like slides on. I come out through the front door. I ain't got nothing with me. I just kind of come out there and like I want to see it for myself. Like maybe she's just kidding. Maybe she just saw something. That's what I'm really hoping. Or maybe it's just gone. That's what I'm really hoping. So man, I go out there. And I see the snake, and no, sure enough, it's just laying right up against our like garage door, like right where the crevice was at. So if I opened that garage door, that snake could have gone on our garage. So anyway, so the snake's sitting there, right? But the snake ain't moving. So I'm like, okay, let me go back in the house real quick. So I go in the house real quick, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? So I'm like, man, I ain't got, I got to get the hoe out of the other yard to kill this thing or whatever like that. I'm like, man, I'm thinking.
You got hoes, you got black snakes. I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
Right,
dog.
Sir, this is a family show.
But look, the snake must have just the snake. Long story short, the snake must have just ate something. It must have just ate a mouse or something around my property because it was just laying there and it was just chilling, man. It was just chilling in the sun. It was not moving. I've got some rocks. I got some big rocks and threw them up against the garage door, and it was not going anywhere. It was just sitting there, just chilling. I threw like 3 rocks, and it was just like hit him, and he didn't move. He didn't move at all. And I'm like, man, this snake is big. It looks like, but he must have just ate because he was too tired to move. So finally, I was like, man, I got to kill this dude because my wife is getting ready to come back, and I was like, at first I was hoping he was gonna just run off, and I could say, oh, okay, whatever. But I was like, okay, you got to die, dude. So I'm out there with the Nike slides on, no socks, looking like a fool. I go get the hoe. And I'm just in there like, finally, I just roll up on him, man, and try to get as far back as I can, but to get a good swing going. And finally, I got it. And man, it is. I had to do it like once every single year we've been here. I had to kill a snake. And so finally, I did it, man. Put in the, I sent y'all the picture. Put in the bucket, man. Threw in the trash. So I'm sitting there and
I ain't see the picture. I missed it.
I put in the chat.
What? Yeah.
I missed it. Okay.
Ish talking about he would have been on the roof with a shotgun.
The roof, absolutely.
So,
and I definitely wouldn't have been in those slides. If I'm gonna kill a snake, I'm gonna have the Timbos or the steel-toe boots or something. I'm not having those slides with my toes out.
No, but the thing was, so it was in my garage, and so I'm hacking away at this thing, and like
that mug is big.
I live near the entrance to my one of the entrances to my subdivision. And so some cars are going by, and I can feel the cars like driving past my house. So I'm up in my driveway, whatever. But they must have just thought I was like crazy. I'm just in there hacking like a crazy man with this hoe at this bush or ground at the snake, and just trying to just destroy this thing. And of course it won't die like immediately. And yeah, man. So it was just wild. But then later on that day, I kill it, put it in the trash, whoop-de-whoop. So I'm talking to Ryan. I go out the front door to go check the mail. I see another one.
Oh no, it's time to move.
Look, hey, so I'm like, oh man, they plotting on me. They trying to get vengeance on me. So I'm thinking they trying to sneak up on me. But I just didn't, man. I didn't have the energy from killing that one, the first one, and doing all cleanup and getting the hoe out. And also, I was like, hey, man, do your thing over there. Whatever you're looking for, just go. So I kind of saw him, like, I kind of eyeballed him, like going around the perimeter of my house. But he just went away eventually. I haven't seen him since. But if I see him and I'm not too tired, I got one more out there I got to kill. So that was my weekend in Blackness, Black Panther, and killing black snakes, man. That's about as black as you can get from me.
That's pretty black.
How about
you, Phenom?
Man, for me, I think, my week was pretty good. It was pretty black. I think the story that I will talk about, or the occurrence that we'll talk about, is something that's job related. So at my job, again, it's a black newspaper, my boss understands the importance of giving the employees some little perks or whatever, and not monetary, but he looks at Google and he looks at Apple and these big companies out there in Silicon Valley. They got cafeterias in the office. They got little chairs you can go take a nap. They got all this stuff. So we don't have that type of bread. So it's not on that level. But what my boss has done is we have a garage that used to be like a garage bay, like for a Jiffy Lube or something like that. So we turned that into a lounge area. So if people want to go eat out there, there's a TV, there's a radio, there's a refrigerator, you got some drinks in there or whatever. So we've had that for a while. But lately, my boss has been on this tip of trying to turn it really into like a frat house or a frat lounge. First, he went and purchased a dartboard. Oh. Then he went and he purchased like hillbilly Jenga. It's like a huge
the big
Jenga.
One? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the 4x4s that you use or whatever. Yeah. And then last week,
cornhole.
He put up a basketball goal. And this mug is it's a small goal, of course, because inside a garage, but it's like plexiglass. It got a little breakaway rim.
What?
So this mug is mounted at about 6.5 feet high. So me and one of my coworkers started going out there each day. First, when he put the darts up, we would play darts every day. And the first 3 days, he beat me, like 3 days in a row. And this dartboard has regular darts on one side, and it's got a baseball game on the other. So we played baseball first. He beat me 3 days in a row. I'm like, man. After that, I went on a streak of like 20-1. Just killed him so bad he didn't even want to play darts no more. He's like, nah, we gotta let's play this Jenga. So then we played the Jenga, and it was probably the greatest Jenga game ever. The little hillbilly Jenga, but I ended up emerging victorious on that. So the last week, we got the basketball out. Now, we'll have to admit this. A coworker, his garage jumper is better than mine. And to what I attribute that to, I go get real buckets.
It's not it's not tall enough.
And so it's so low. I was trying to put arch on it. It was jacking up. And so we sitting here, we're playing horse, best 2 out of 3, and he just knocking down shots I can't knock down.
Like Sheed said, ball don't lie. Ball don't lie.
Yeah, ball don't lie. But I'm a very competitive person. Ryan knows this about me. Paul, I don't think we ever really competed other than fantasy football. But I had to rely on my athleticism. Now, I'm approaching 40 years old. I'm pushing 40, right?
Oh, you over dunking on this dude on the 6
My coworker's like 23. He like 23 years old.
He's going to blow his ACL out.
No, he started out with the dunks, and I'm like, why is this dude doing dunks? Like, don't he know I'm 6'3"? Like, this is easy for me. The goal is 6'5", 6'6". So, but he did a couple of dunks or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I figured out, number one, he had trouble passing. So if I, do trick shots where I pass it off the wall and let it bounce and catch it and finger roll, something like that, he was having issues. So I got back in the game. But this one particular game, I think this was the first day we played. And it was down, it was like game 7, down 10 seconds left. I had the ball.
Wait a minute. 10 seconds left. Y'all got a clock?
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought
putting you in the mind frame.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
No. So it's HORS to HORS. Okay, but I got control of it. So I'm like, what can I do to get him out of here? So I went back. And again, like I said, I'm almost 40. This kid's 23. But I went back and we got these trash cans that we use to recycle newspaper. So I got a big trash can. It's like one of those yard trash cans. And I put that in front of the goal.
Oh, my God.
He's like, oh, you going to jump over the trash can? I said, yeah. I said, wait a minute. One trash can ain't enough. So I got another trash can. That was one of those little thin trash cans you put against the wall.
Yeah.
And I put that in front of the big trash can. Now, both of these trash cans come higher than my waist. So these are, I don't know, 3 feet, 3.5 feet, something like that. So I back up to the back of the garage. I run across, and again, this is at work, so I'm in work attire. I'm in business casual.
Do-rag. Oh, no, this is your job, so you can have a do-rag on and be fine.
Right.
Hey.
Do-rag and a cigarette.
So anyway, I run, I take off, I jump over not one trash can, but over 2 trash cans, and I dunk the ball, and I'm just amped up. So I look back at my coworker, and he's looking nervous. I can tell I got him. I could tell I got him. He's a little short. I'm 6'3". He probably 5'8", maybe 5'6", 5'8", somewhere like that. So he backs up. He's like, I got this. And he's running, and I'm mad because I didn't pull out the Snapchat, I didn't pull out the Instagram, I didn't pull out the Facebook Live, or I could have showed y'all the video. But anyway, he ran, and he jumped, and he got over the first trash can, and he got over the second trash can, barely, and he landed on the ground, and like I had to catch him from busting his head on the wall.
Dude,
and so I ended up emerging victorious.
Right, they're going to be coming to you pretty soon for
that work. Get out of here. I'm denying
I'm the Black Olympic champion. And then the craziest part is, so after that, we go back in. It's towards the end of the day, but we go back in the office, and we both just sweating profusely. Like we done played a real basketball
Right, y'all
game.
like y'all to play Game 7.
So that is my week in Blackness, and I'm still undefeated in Garage Horse.
I know your wife does not approve of you jumping over trash cans, man, at work.
Hey, man, if you still got the hops, you gotta do it, man.
I remember your wife refused to let you hoop before your wedding.
No, I think I did. She didn't want me to, but I did.
No, you
but
didn't,
yeah,
because that was when I was hooping with you. I was hooping in. And you was like, no, I ain't going.
Morning.
He's like, no, I ain't going.
Yeah, maybe I skipped that week.
Crazy.
But anyway, so enough about my hoop dreams. You guys said you wanted to talk a little bit of NBA. Of course, we just had 2 Game 7s with the Celtics and the Cavs and the Warriors and the Rockets. So I guess, Paul, I'll let you open up on the NBA, the Game 7 situation, or the NBA Finals, or whatever you want to talk about with that.
Yeah, NBA Finals, man. Just, talk about it real quick. Man, I think this is going to be the last couple of good games we have, because the finals are probably going to be trash. I think we can all probably agree on that. I don't know if you guys disagree or not, but man, just some wild games. I actually missed last night's game. I couldn't see it live, but I caught a little bit of the replay late last night, and yeah, man, just the Rockets. They're just right there, but they just don't have enough. And man, they miss Chris Paul for sure. Do you guys think it would have made any difference if he had been in the game?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yes.
That would have been a major difference. When you look at some of those close games that they won, games 4 and 5, Chris Paul really held them together. He was really the one when everybody else went cold. Chris Paul was hitting big shots. But if you're going to talk about injuries, you also got to look at Andre Iguodala. Now, Iguodala isn't on the same level as Chris Paul. I'm not saying that he's the same level of player, but he is near that level of importance to the Warriors. So both of them had injuries. Even when you look at the Eastern Conference, Kevin Love was out. Kyrie was out, of course. So we had injuries all across the board. So I don't really think you can look at an injury and say this is what caused it, because everybody had injuries. So you just got to get through it.
Yeah, part of me just irked me seeing the replay a little bit. What I saw, I was like, man, just Harden. Like, it's Game 7. You right there. You got the chance to just make hey, you're probably gonna get the Finals MVP no matter what. But man, he just the defense is just so trash. I mean, there was like a sequence where he caused her. He threw a bad pass, resulting in a fast break the other way. And it's like him and Clint Capella. Clint Capella, they basically the same starting point. Running, trying to get back on defense. Man, Clint Capella gets back, and at least he tries, and he falls trying to catch Clay on a kick out to a 3-pointer, and you don't even see James Harden in the screen. Man, it's like, dude, you got to get back on defense on a play on a mistake you made in a Game 7 at least, man. It's just like I don't see how that dude's ever gonna win. I mean, if they get LeBron next year, or like we were speculating or something, things like that, but. I just don't see. What do you guys think about Harden? Can he win it all? Does he have it all?
Here we go.
Go ahead.
I'm finna speak.
Hit me with it.
I am. Give me a second, bro. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm having technical difficulties.
Why do you need so much time?
I don't know, because it just didn't play. It's supposed to use as default app. all that just to play my conspiracy music, but It's important. I can't do a conspiracy without it. James Harden has been throwing games in the NBA since 2012.
Get out of here.
So for us to be up here thinking that James was going to come through and do anything, he oftentimes forgets how to play basketball on the biggest stage. He keeps doing this. He did this with OKC back when he played with them. He did it with Houston here, maybe even last year. He's going to keep doing it until he has paid off whatever debt it is that he owes. This brother is out there, and, I've never seen so many NBA athletes be tired, quote unquote. I guess they jacking up so many threes, but James Harden does have a huge burden on his team, because this dude going to the rack and shooting threes and step backs and dribbling 1,000 times. So he's doing more dribbling than anybody I've ever seen in the NBA. It's ridiculous, but yeah, man, they're not going to win anything, not this year. Maybe they can come back with an older Chris Paul next year, but Clip's going to clip. That's why he was hurt, because he was always hurt with the Clippers too. Him or Blake, so he just carrying on that disease to the next team, and it just ain't in the cards for him, man. He could try to latch on and ride somebody's cape to the finals one of these days, maybe, but it ain't gonna happen there.
Yeah, I think with Harden, I mean, he tried his best, man. The dude had 32 points.
Yeah,
I think
6 assists.
I think he tries his best on offense, steals. But on defense, nothing.
On defense he gets exposed.
Yeah.
And the biggest play that shows that, it wasn't Game 7. I forget which game, but when Sean Livingston hit him with a double crossover, I mean, he looked bad. But he's not the only player like that. The Rockets picked on Curry bad. They made him look bad on every screen. They made him look bad. Steph Curry is a 2-time MVP, so there's some players where
Steph plays defense.
That's just not their strength. I think Harden plays defense at times. Sometimes he plays solid defense. Sometimes he plays no defense. But at the end of the day, I think the Warriors are the best team in the league. I think they were going to come out and win, and they did. Same thing over in the Eastern Conference. Even though Boston gave him a good shot, without Kyrie, I just don't think they really were going to win. So the finals ended up how most people thought they would, but I will give a shout out to Jason Tatum, who dunked on LeBron.
Woo! Oh,
nasty.
Man. Woo! Who was that?
Some vicious STL stand up.
Hey, right. That was that man. That's that's a statement dunk right there. That's like, hey, I'm letting you know, I'm Lonzo Ball, Ben Simmons, and all these other dudes. That this dude's the real deal, man. So he's been fun to watch, and he's going to be fun to watch. And I just don't see how he's going to be the third option next year. I think you got to make him the second option at least, man. He's too good, and he's a pure shooter, man. Pure shooter, just amazing. But
yeah, we'll see. Once they get them all together. They have enough talent to where I think they can be like Golden State to where whoever's open, get the shot.
And Hayward ain't a dude that ball hogs, man. He'll pass to you if you're open, but he can still get buckets. So, yep, they got a nice little squad next year. Can't wait. I was almost a Boston fan this year until he broke his ankle.
And shouts to LeBron. Just like we said it before, but just amazing. Man, that's impressive. Was it 8-9? It's 8 or 9 years in a row. 8 years in a row is it to the finals?
8.
Man, that's. I don't know if that's better than MJ. I definitely think that's better than Kobe. Just to be honest, Ryan, I'm sorry to say that, but I think
it's definitely better than Kobe.
That's impressive, man. That's impressive. And this team is straight trash. Straight trash. You got to rely on Jeff Green to get you 20 points in a game 7 to pull you out, man. That's amazing. Anyway.
So enough about the NBA. Y'all, I'm sure y'all watched it. We will be watching the finals, of course, this week too. But we are going to move on. Going to start having like a little segment. A couple of weeks ago, we had the conversation about everybody who's getting the police called on them, all the black people who are getting the police called on them for nonviolent things. We don't want to go into a full discussion every time it happens, but we do want to mention it on like a weekly basis. So Ryan, you got these leaves on your window while black. Tell us what happened with that just briefly.
Yes, sir. So this week, a young black male was causing a bit of trouble when he was pulled over by the police. They come up to his car and they asked him what's going on, and they told him, he said, "I'm not speeding. What's the problem, officer?" And they said, "Sir, you have some vegetation on your window."
Vegetation.
Yes. So vegetation. He's like, vegetation, like these leaves? And they're like, yes. And they take them off his window. They show it to him, and he's like, seriously? And they say yes, and they actually took the time to take it back to the cruiser to have it analyzed back at the police station. So shout out to those officers. This week's what can you get pulled over for while black? Having leaves on your windshield.
Great job, gentlemen. Protect and serve. Protect and serve. So when it comes to somebody who really needs to be locked up or who has the cops called on them, got to talk about Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. And it appears that the chapter is closed on 50 Shades of Greitens. This is breaking news. Forgot to say when we were recording. We were recording on Tuesday night. And so this
is episode 16.
Episode 16.
So it only took 33 minutes on this one. That's okay.
There you go. And what we found out today, and it really happened in a rush, was that the governor, Missouri Governor, Ryan, G, we're all from Missouri. But Eric Greitens decided to finally resign. Now, anybody who hasn't followed this, because we know we got podcast listeners around the country, around the globe.
International.
If you have not.
Yeah.
International, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you have not followed this, what happened, Governor Greitens, let's start from the beginning, although I'll be brief. He ran as an outsider, sort of like Donald Trump said that I'm not a politician. He's a former Navy SEAL, very unlike Trump there, but said I'm going to end this corruption in Missouri politics. We're going to get the lobbyist out. We're going to get the special interest out. I'm going to run on family values. And he got into office, and not too long afterwards, they found out that some people call it an affair with his hairdresser. Other people call it sexual misconduct. We don't know exactly what happened, but basically he tied up this woman. He had her over to his house while his wife was pregnant and going away. Took her down to the basement, tied her up, got her partially nude, allegedly took a photo of her, threatened to blackmail her if she ever told about the affair, and just a lot of things like that, which is why they call it 50 Shades of Greitens, because it reminded people of 50 Shades of Grey. Just a lot of, it's a family
that
show.
Brother
so
was definitely weird.
Yeah. Let's just say
he was on some stuff.
He was wilding out in his basement.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of that came out a while ago. I don't even remember what month, but this was several months ago that this information came out, but he has refused to resign until today. So, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you first because I know you have a lot of interest in this story, being freaky alt-right, Paul. So, what do you think about the Greitens?
Well, I think it's pretty remarkable. First of all, let me just say, I don't live in Missouri, so I don't really keep up with that much. But it's been amusing to me in the group chat, keep talking, because I talked to Ish, and Ish has been proclaiming that Greitens was going to get resigned or get fired for literally months, like every 3 weeks. I think I've heard it. He's sent out a text
said he was getting
he's going
impeached.
down, he's going down, he's going down, he's going down.
Right.
So, and every time I'm like, okay, this is like the little boy that cried wolf. Then when I saw the chat today, and he's, I could basically. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're ovulating over the group text, but it felt that way. You could tell how excited Ish was. Like, hey, this dude's out of here. Boom, out of here. So Ish was definitely hyped. So I'm just happy. I'm happy that Ish is happy this dude's out of there. But now all that said, the little I do know that story, it is the the scandalous part of it. The whole the woman and stuff like that. I don't know too much about that stuff, but it's. I think what's kind of remarkable just on a political level is that, and Ish, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like a lot of this was, basically his own party taking the lead in pushing him out of there. And from what I understand, it's because they really don't want to mess with the midterms coming up, even though the governorship is not up for re-election this November. I guess they're afraid that this scandal could weigh on some of the Republicans that are running for office, particularly for what's her name, the Claire McCaskill's seat, right? I guess that's kind of the concern because they want to flip that seat to Republican, and so I don't know. I think that's what's interesting. Ish, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I think I don't really think they're doing it because they're altruistic or they care about this guy. I mean, this guy's he's got a good record as far as his all the check boxes. Hey, he's a military guy, Navy SEAL, all these impressive things, young, charismatic, I guess you would say, but. I think they were willing to overlook that just until they say, "Hey, we don't want this dragging down on this," or that, or they know there's more bad stuff coming. That's the only other thing I can know.
Well, there's a couple of things. Really, the Missouri Republicans, they weren't going to ride with him from day one. Like I said, he came in saying that the whole system is corrupt. Everybody in office, are some cheats and liars, and they're stealing money. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So even in his party, he was an outsider. So that's the reason why, the president has had a lot of similar type of accusations of misconduct. And he's been able to survive because the national Republicans got his back. The reason I was so sure that Greitens wouldn't survive is because the Republicans didn't like him at all. So if your own party doesn't like you, and the opposition party doesn't like you, you don't have that type of political cover. Ryan, what do you think about this? I'll go into another aspect of it, but I want to see what Ryan has to say.
Nothing. For real. I mean, this has been going on for a while. I've always said that nothing would happen because I didn't think a crime was committed. Although the lady that was involved, the lady involved said that it was a crime. But
today, because I try to keep up with this. If Ish says it's an important story, I try to keep up on this. So like, I was reading today, I guess like one of his aides was forced to testify, and he was basically saying that they were considering there were some conversations while he was working there about like possibly soliciting funds through this like super PAC or some kind of PAC that he had set up to get foreign contributions, which I guess is technically not, of course it's not like some serious crime, I guess, but it's technically a campaign violation.
Well, And that's the other aspect of it. So again, he's saying everybody else is crooked and he wants to have transparency. But one of the first things he did was he started running things through LLCs. So his campaign contributions, or when he bought his house, like all of this was going through businesses to hide who was donating money to him, and who was donating money to his campaign.
Right, and from what I read is today is the reason. I mean, the reason he resigns, A, because of that testimony, and B, because the judge ruling basically says like he's going to have to turn over like his donor listing, which he's trying to keep all this stuff anonymous. And if there's foreign contacts that they were soliciting to park money into this fund, this PAC, whatever like that, or any other kind of unsavory characters that they're going to find. So I'm thinking like maybe there's some names in this list or something in this list that he knows is going to come out. It's going to be worse for him. So just get out now and get it over with.
Yeah, those rich donors told him once that judge made that ruling that he has to, because he has like a nonprofit and he was sharing a list from his nonprofit with the campaign, which you're not supposed to do. So he had a bunch of stuff going on that he wasn't supposed to do. But as soon as that ruling came out that he had to turn over this donor list, that's when a few hours later they said, we're scheduling this press conference, and that's when he resigned. So you're right. It wasn't even the scandal with the woman that ultimately brought him down, but it was this dark money. That's what they're calling it, dark money. So all this money he's been receiving that he's been hiding, funneling it through different businesses and stuff like that, that's what ended up catching him up. And I have no sympathy for him because, again, he came in trying to be holier than thou, saying, hey, I'm going to clean up everything, all this corruption. But then he went and did all the same stuff. So you got this sex scandal and you have just this money laundering, for lack of a better word. So a lot of people in Missouri are glad he's out of there. So Greitens, see you later, man. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you.
If you do have those pictures, you can go ahead and send those to me. Send those to blackdelegatespod@gmail.com. I will be happy to peruse those, Mr. Greitens. You can send them right to me. Ryan and Ish don't have to see them, but you can send them right to alt-right Poppy. It's okay.
Yeah, if y'all enjoy 50 Shades of Grey, I would read the transcript that old girl wrote
right.
because it's pretty juicy.
Exactly. But anyway, today was a bad day for racist individuals. Roseanne got canceled. How did Roseanne get canceled? Because Roseanne, from what I hear, was drawing huge numbers. Like huge numbers. Audience numbers.
Right. I didn't even believe you. I didn't even believe you when you told me this. Because I was like, what? I thought she was doing good numbers. I thought it was just a routine cancellation. Got to Googling, and apparently she was on the Twitter. And she called Obama's aide, Valerie Jarrett. She compared her to an ape and what did she say? A Muslim. I'm gonna read what she said specifically.
Yeah, you got.
She said let's read the whole thing. I'm gonna read the whole thing. Couple of little spots. So of course this is more people just saying stupid stuff about Obama. It says Obama's secrets are coming out more and more every week. This is very interesting. What a crooked man. He hid it well. People keep saying that. It's ridiculous. Stop it.
That wasn't Roseanne, but this is part of the tweet thread.
And then somebody else said Jarrett helped a lot, which is Valerie Jarrett. And then Roseanne chimes in. She says Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes had a baby equals Valerie Jarrett. VJ. So right there, as we know, Roseanne's show has been on the air, has been doing great numbers. They are on the ABC network, which is as close to a family network as we can get these days. Owned by the Walt Disney Company, and they came out within a few hours even and said that they canceled the show, and they were out. I couldn't believe it. It happened so fast. It's just crazy the way it happened. But in my opinion, good riddance, because I watched one episode of Roseanne and I thought it was pretty racist. I watched an episode where they were talking about the Arab neighbors across the street, and they were talking about how they was probably terrorists and they was going to do all this stuff and how she was so afraid of them and how they should call the police and all the stuff that we complained about on this show.
Right.
So we get to watch it in sitcom form every week. And they end up actually going over there. I'm going to spoil it because it don't matter. Y'all can catch it if y'all want to watch that mess. But they went over across the street had the nerve to want to borrow these people's Wi-Fi. Couldn't figure out the passcode. Was saying more racist stuff to be the passcode. And so they finally went over and asked because, Roseanne has a black granddaughter, which they happen to have adopted.
So she can't be racist. What are you talking about?
She can't be
has
racist.
A black granddaughter.
Yes, and that's why they put her on there to try to make it seem not as bad. So good riddance, Roseanne. You racist. I'm glad your show got canceled. It was racist too. And probably everybody that watched it was probably low-key racist because they thought it was funny.
Well, you can't go that way because for some odd reason, unbeknownst to me, my wife loves Roseanne. She loved the original run of Roseanne. She would watch this current reboot of Roseanne. Like, she's just a Roseanne fan. And she acknowledges Roseanne is racist. She acknowledges that Roseanne is probably not a person she liked to kick it with.
Wow.
But she just thinks she's hilarious.
Really?
And so I tweeted to her today and I said, are you done weeping yet? And she's like, weeping? What are you talking about? And I said, Roseanne was canceled. You didn't hear? And so I think she got her tears out. And she's good now, but yeah, that's one of those odd things where she just loves Roseanne.
Man, I mean, people like the old show, but the old show wasn't racist like that. It wasn't no black people on there, but it wasn't racist. Like this show now is racist, at least what I saw.
But I have not watched the show. But what you're describing to me, Ryan, like I mean I get that, but it does seem like kind of like what you were saying in the group chat. Like, it seems like it's kind of like an all in the family where it's like, hey, she's kind of like a buffoon. Are they, like, making fun of her? Like, she's saying, like, dumb racist type stuff, what we consider racist stuff. But at the end of the episode, is there not some kind of resolution? Like, hey, we get along with this family? Or is it just like, nah, F those people across the street?
Barely is there a moral of the story. So her sister is basically kind of saying, like, oh, that's racist. And they're like, don't say that. But she's the loudest. She has the most lines. She has the most laughter from their fake studio audience. And in the end, she doesn't really... not really. Just like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were all those racist things. And then she says them again. So, nah.
Yeah, and from what I've read, I really haven't watched it other than snippets just walking past while my wife is watching. But I've seen people say that on the original Roseanne, they had more of a moral and they dealt with these type of issues head on. But in this one, it's really not. Like, they're just using that because that's what she believes in. And I went through on Roseanne's Twitter and was just scrolling down on there today, and it's just basically all super right-wing stuff. Like, she was beefing with Chelsea Clinton. She was making fun of Chelsea Clinton for some reason, calling her Chelsea Soror Clinton, or Soror. Soros, yeah, can't say it. And just all this conspiracy theory stuff and, love for Trump and all of this. So I think that's just who she is, which is fine. But for the ABC network, which, like you said, they bill themselves ABC Family, for you to have her on there when almost every day she's spouting off some racist stuff on Twitter,
right.
And then that bleeds into the actual topics on the show.
Right. And then, I mean, just so we all know, like, Wanda Sykes was a writer on the show.
Right.
I couldn't believe that she was a writer on the show. I'm like, what is this? But she tweeted that she was quitting. We don't know what Wanda Sykes said she got offered less than Monique. So maybe she needed that money.
She gotta get that bag, player.
I know. I won't say it, like I did not catch. I watched Roseanne, the old Roseanne, because I was a kid and I was dumb and I didn't know no better, and it was just on and we didn't have a lot of channels, So
old Roseanne didn't say racist stuff. It just wasn't no black people.
I got you. So, but I caught it, but I did not catch this current reboot or whatever like that. But and on one level, I do feel bad. This lady, I don't feel bad for Roseanne herself. She caused all this. She put a lot of people at work. She, like you just said, Wanda Sykes probably won that check, and so she felt like I actually Wanda. Like, as soon as like this, like the tweets started going out and stuff like that, before ABC had canceled the show, Wanda Sykes basically said, "I'm out."
She said
I'm
quit.
I'm done. So
right.
she
shout out to Wanda.
And so, like, but there are some, and I did not watch the show, but I know there's some good comedians. I kind of keep up on some of this comedy type stuff. So, like, she had some really good writers. She had a girl named Whitney Cummings, who's like a pretty popular comedian. She's not like, she's not Monique. she's not Tiffany Haddish, but Whitney Cummings. She's a really funny comedian. She's like she was the lead writer for this season, and she had already left the show a few weeks back. And they got like Norm Macdonald. I don't know if you guys remember Norm Macdonald, but he was on Saturday Night Live. He's a writer on the show too. And then all these other, and then Roseanne, she's probably making plenty of money from all the syndication from the old Roseannes and stuff like that.
Right. But
then you got all these other people like Darlene and the Beckys or whoever, and the new black girl. I mean, all these people had jobs.
Darlene was on her. Yeah.
Yeah. What's amazing? They got the whole cast back, including John Goodman. I figured John Goodman, he'd be too busy doing movies to bother with the show, but they got everybody back. And for John Goodman, Roseanne, they probably don't need the money. Maybe Darlene doesn't. John makes big time some big time movies though. Let's be honest. Be real. John Goodman.
He was in Cloverfield, but he really haven't done nothing. He got time.
He's dope. He's in.
But I like him. Yeah.
He's in Big Lebowski. He can do no wrong since he was in Big Lebowski. So, but like the other people, I feel bad for the other people that that weren't the big time stars, hadn't really made their their way into the industry. And now they ain't got they all got they just got an announcement that said, hey, we're gonna have season 2 a few weeks ago, and now here they all got canceled. So shout out to the little girl because she was really good. The little black girl on there, she actually tweeted out that bullies would never win ever. After hearing that the show was canceled. So shout out to her. It's going to make her career a lot better, that she could be freed from her slavery and move out into doing something with some black folks. Come on, girl. We gotta holler at Donald Glover. Let him get something for you. But part of me, and again, this kind of goes back to my general conspiracy that I've said multiple times on different subjects on this. But like, I think like some of this stuff is like Roseanne. I think she's taken on this online image to be alt-right, and because they gear the show toward this. But like I can tell you, like Whitney Cummings, who again was the lead writer on this season of Roseanne, she is super liberal. If you ever heard her like interview talk about things like that, she is like super whatever liberal issue you want to talk about. She is for that. Norm Macdonald, if you ever listen to his podcast or hear him talk, he's Canadian and he's pretty liberal about a lot of these things. And then you've got like the Darlene girl. You hear her; she's obviously a lesbian, very very liberal on a lot of issues. And so it's interesting. Like I wonder if like in some way did she. With some of this Twitter stuff that she was hyping up and it just got too out far at hand. Not saying that she doesn't agree with some of this stuff, but I just wonder like, where her head was at, what she was thinking like going into this. But the show had a good mix of conservative voices, obviously, and then liberal voices too, which is kind of interesting because they knew what the stuff that she was putting on Twitter. I mean, she's been saying crazy stuff for at least months. I don't follow her years ago, but. At least the last few months.
I guarantee they were already getting heat from that Muslim episode. I'm just saying. Because if that had been black people, that would really been a huge deal about that. That's not cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, whether you're conservative or liberal, people gonna make money together. We're in a state where politically there's a very antagonistic relationship with people. But that's not going to stop a TV show. So you can have liberal writers and have Roseanne, and people are going to say, hey, look, I respect her. She's conservative. Everybody, you got a crazy uncle that thinks way different from you, but you still love him. So it's not like just because I'm liberal and you're conservative.
Yeah, it's not about the politics. Right.
But at the same time, it was good to see some of those actors come out and say, hey, look, we don't stand for this. We disagree with what she's saying. But I think, she torpedoed that. She got dropped by her agency as well. The show got canceled. It's costing a lot of people money, and she's going to have to live with that. She doesn't care because she, like you said, her bank is good, I'm sure.
And she'll be working on Fox News. She'll be working on Fox News next week.
Right.
She'll be a correspondent.
So, but the thing is now it looks like the racists are going to have to go back in that closet because when people get outed for just doing stupid stuff, and we talked about this before, people feel more emboldened with this current political climate, but y'all getting those repercussions. It's a free country. You can say what you want, but you're going to have to pay the piper.
Well, speaking of coming out of the closet, let's segue into our next story. You like how I did that, Ryan? See that?
I like it. Take a little note there. We're going to see. What is it, though? What is it? All right. So speaking of coming out of the closet.
Announcement.
So speaking of coming out of the closet and pause, We're going to transfer to the next story. We're going to talk about the story I want to talk about, which is a young 30-year-old gentleman from upstate New York named Michael Rotondo. So I'm sure many people have heard the story. This is kind of like our little story of humor for the week, or one of them. So this man's 30 years old, been living with his parents pretty much his entire life, and basically his parents had to take him to court this last week, I guess multiple times, but finally culminating this week, to get him evicted from their house. They've been trying for years to get him out of the house, have him move out, get out on his own. They want to get the freak on, like any normal parents. They want to get the freak on. They want, they want to walk around the house naked, all the stuff like that. But they got this 30-year-old, freeloader here in the house, and he's been there for years and years. And they finally just had enough, and they said, hey, they've done everything they thought they could do, and they finally, had to take him to court, which is crazy because the dude was still living there while all this went down. And so finally the judge said, hey, you got to go. You got to be evicted.
But wait, though. They offered him even $1,100 to leave.
No, they didn't offer him. They gave him $1,100, and he said he spent it on other stuff instead of. They gave him $1,100 to go find his own place, and he did not take it. Now, this dude is college educated, but he chooses to live at home, and he's currently unemployed, although he doesn't seem to. And if you listen to him during the court case, he doesn't seem like an idiot. He seems like he could reasonably do something of some magnitude, but has no job. And so
looks like he's been living in the woods.
But before we get into some of the kind of the latest developments, I mean, did you guys catch the story?
Yes,
definitely.
I watched it on Good Morning America.
Yeah, this is all. I was definitely glued into this topic for more than I should have been for a day or two. But so afterwards, I don't know if you guys saw this, but basically afterwards, he's been doing a series of interviews, and every interview is just very embarrassing because basically everybody's interviewing is basically like, why do you want to live there? And he's just like, well, I'm really comfortable, and like, why don't you want to get a job? And he's like, well, I just haven't found the right thing yet, or something like that. So he's like, basicly every bad stereotype of what you would call a quote unquote millennial. This dude is that dude.
He also said that like he wasn't being a burden on them at all. He just lived there. He wasn't eating their food. He wasn't like using up their stuff or anything like that. But you live here, bro. But you
look,
got to go.
But before I get into like what kind of the issue I want to talk about, but like let me just give it a little follow up. So like this dude, so he was on CNN and got roasted. This dude went on Alex Jones and on Infowars and got interviewed. Dog. It was. Dog, the interview was so bad. At the end, Alex Jones felt so bad for him. Alex Jones gave him $3,000, right?
Why would you do that?
Because he felt so bad for the loser.
He's an enabler, man. Enabler.
Well, probably he knew he was going to get a bunch of clicks off it too. So hey, what's $3,000 to Infowars, right? So Infowars gives him $3,000 just basically for pity. And then some pizza company, there's like some pizza chain. They offered him a job. Said you can come work there, and on top of that, they offered him $1,101, basically to pay his parents back for the $1,100 he kept as a signing bonus. They were going to give him $1,100 signing bonus just to come work for them. So this dude,
this dude is basically a loser, and I think this reminds me of your old topic, the audacity of caucasity. This dude is 30 years old, like you said. And really, to me, I feel like he's just trying to get his name out there. He's trying to make a come up, like you said, Ryan, to be on Fox News or to be on conservative channel or to be on some type of celebrity deal because he's on TV way too much, doing too many interviews. And the whole thing is ridiculous. Like his parents gave him 6 or 30 days, or they gave him multiple notices telling him he needed to get out. Now, we both know, or we all know, that this wouldn't happen in a black or a brown household.
No. This is going that far, no, but this is the top. This is why I want to bring this topic up. Can we get into that real quick?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
So
yeah,
I do think in the minority community there is too much going on there's too many single moms in minority communities, and I think there's too many single moms of males that just never grow up where basically everything's done for them. They're the king, because it's a single mom and the kids, and they grow up being spoiled, and when they become adults they can never adjust and get move on and become their life. I'm not saying every single one, but I see a lot of it.
In minority
community, yes.
Minority families?
Yes.
No, man. I don't know what kind of household you grew up in, but for most black families at least, and I get what you're saying about there's a lot of single mothers and they stick up for the kids and they treat their kids like kings, but in most black households, I don't know about the brown ones, but when a kid turns 18, they get in the boot. Like, whether it's mama, whether it's daddy, they punch them in the chest. They tell them, look, you got to go. I love you, but you got to get out of my house.
See, that's what I'm seeing, though. I know. I'm not talking about brown. I'm talking about black family members of mine and things like that. Like, they're literally 30 some years old, 40 years old, living at home, got a job, don't contribute anything, don't buy any groceries, nothing, don't have a car, have to get rides everywhere. And I see it because they were spoiled their whole life. I think black and brown mothers, they do so much for their kids, so much, but it can have a negative impact on males, particularly male kids, because they used to. Well,
let me stop you real quick, because you're bringing. See, this is alt-right Poppy coming back. We're talking about a white dude. We're talking about a white dude who's 30 years old living.
Well,
with
his name is Rotundo. Is he brown? Is he brown delegation?
Nah,
his name's Rotundo. He got to be brown delegation.
Right. So why are we talking about a white gentleman who is with his parents, and you trying to bring it back and put it on single black mothers? That's crazy. No, we're not about to do that. We are pivoting away from that conversation.
No.
Let me talk. I don't want you to hang yourself. Let it go, Pete.
Ryan. Yeah,
Let it go,
Ryan.
Pete.
Go ahead.
Don't hang yourself, bro. So my opinion on this is this dude, he got to stop. I wish my son would be 30 years old. I don't care what age I am, as long as I'm alive. The only court hearing we going to is going to be assault and battery after I attempt to murder you for not getting up out of my house. When I say it's time to go, it's time to go, bro. I'm not writing you no letter. I'm not writing you a follow-up letter. I'm not making up a fake lease with an ending date on there. We're not doing none of that. When I say go, go. Or next time you're going to come back and all your stuff is going to be outside. Or matter of fact, you ain't got no stuff because it's mine. Because you living in my house. You can go. Ain't nobody had to fight me at my mom's house to move. Once I was able to, I think I still had my cap and gown on, and I was like, Mom, as soon as I get a job, I'm leaving. I'm going to move out and don't be a burden. You know what I'm saying? But before that, I was still paying for my car, paying for my insurance. I was paying for, my own phone and all that kind of stuff. I did drink the water and chip in on some groceries. But other than that, I was still handling as much as I could. And that's really how it should be. I mean, if you raise your kids right, they wouldn't hopefully try to bum off you. But I got a 17-year-old in the house, and she probably thinks she's going to live here forever, but she is not.
No, let me just say I appreciate my mom.
Vacating the premises.
Let me just say I appreciate my mom because everything like that. But she forced me to get up out of there. Like when I was 15, 16, every other week she'd be talking about the Army. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go. And hey, look, I joined the Army when I was in high school. Still in high school, I joined the Army. Like 2 days after I could join, I signed up. My summer between junior and senior year, I was in basic training. That's what I was doing, and then when I the next year when I graduated, I was gone, and I haven't been. I don't come back too much since, but I probably spent. I think since I turned 18, if I've spent maybe 30, 40 nights in my mom's house since then, I'd be shocked, and that's 20 some years ago. That's
I don't
crazy.
agree. I don't agree with kicking kids out of 18 though.
Right.
Because I don't think they're prepared, and it leads to a lot of the situations that we have a problem with single mothers and things like that. You're just not old enough, young men and women shacking up instead of getting married, that kind of stuff, because they can't survive on their own because they just don't make enough. As long as you're in college or you're trying to do better for yourself and you being respectful, you can stay. But if you're 25, you got to go.
Yeah, I think it's every situation is a little different, but at least for me personally, I even though at the time maybe I didn't appreciate it, but older me looks back and says like, hey, I appreciate the sink or swim. Like you got to fit. Hey, you going to college off in Tennessee? Right. You figure it out. You're on your own. You wash your own clothes, all that other stuff. And hey, I did. I think it made me stronger. Yeah, but but I'm just saying there are people out there that. I know dudes that are like this, man. That are like not quite this bad, but are like this. Too reliant on their parents.
But Right. We can talk about this particular dude. That's what makes this such an interesting story, because you don't necessarily see that with white families. Like they'll let their kids come home or stay home or whatever, but it's not like, and I don't think you see this with any, it's not even white or black thing, but when the parents say go, usually people go. Like you get out. And so this guy is fighting tooth and nail, and he done went and read Law for Dummies because he knows all the statutes, and he's coming up, I guess he's representing himself. He's coming up with counter arguments, going back and forth with the judge. Now, I will segue a little bit away and tell you a little story, because this does remind me of a time where I could have been Mr. Rotundo. One time I got a speeding ticket, and after I got the ticket, I'm like, I never saw a speed limit sign. And so I just couldn't accept that speeding ticket. I felt like it was just driving while black type of deal. And so when the cop pulled me over, he said, you're going 50 or whatever. And I said, really, what's the speed limit? He said 40. I said, I didn't see a speed limit sign. He was like, well, whatever, that's the speed limit. So he gave me the ticket. So I turned back around, did a U-turn. I drove back from where I was coming, and the only speed limit signs, there were two of them, but they were both blocked because there was construction going on. So they had literally covered it up in wood. So I was like, man, I'm not about to pay this ticket. So I took pictures of the speed limit signs, and I took pictures of all the construction that was going on, showing that from where I had just left, like a gas station or a restaurant, there literally was never a speed limit sign that I saw. All of them were covered.
But there were construction cones, so really it was 20 miles an hour. But go ahead.
We about this technicality life. So I went to the store. I went to whatever, Walgreens or something. Grabbed some poster board. I had my little pictures developed that I took, because this is back before really the camera phones and things like that. So I had to go print the pictures off. I got those. I outlined the route. This is where I just came from. This is the street that I got on. And I put pictures along the way on this big poster board. And so I went to traffic court, and the judges, called my name up and they said, hey, you got this speeding ticket, you were going, whatever, 55 in the 40 zone. How do you plead? I said, not guilty, sir. He said, not guilty. Okay. He's like, well, what's that paper you got with you? So I picked up my poster board. I said, Your Honor.
Did they give you an easel? Did they give you an easel?
No, they didn't give me an easel, but he asked me.
Did you say I'd like to enter Exhibit A?
I think I may have said that.
Did you say not guilty? Y'all got to feel me.
Right. He's like, let me see that paper you got. So I gave it to him, and I showed him. I said, Your Honor, I was coming down. I turned left off of so-and-so street. I turned on the page. I said, if you look at the first photo, I think I probably did say Exhibit A, the first photo, you'll see that speed limit sign is covered up. I said, Your Honor, this is the view from where I turned. There's no speed limit sign. I said, this is the first one. I said, Your Honor, this is where I got stopped by the officer. You see, there's another speed limit sign right there that's also covered up by construction. I said, so I never had an opportunity to see what the posted speed limit is because it was covered up by this construction. And the judge said, well, he's like, but you
some
know,
type of law or somebody important or something? Did he say?
he said, well, he's like, what did you think the speed limit was? And I said, I thought it was like 45. And he said, but you were going 55. And I said, yeah, but I didn't see the sign. So the judge was like, he's like, you know what? He said, let me think about what I'm going to do. He said, I'm really impressed that you came out here. You made this whole poster board and this map and illustration. So he said, I'm going to have to think about this. He said, if you had to pay the ticket, he's like, we'll send you a notice and let you know if you have to pay or not. Give me a couple of days and then we'll let you know. And I never heard back. So I'm like,
so
well, I guess
warrant.
that.
So you got a warrant for your arrest at Haley Hills right now, so don't come back.
Nope. I checked on it too. I was like, hey, do I got anything pending? Nope. So I guess that judge had grace on me. So I can appreciate Mr. Rotundo going through the whole legal process. But get out your parents' house, man. Talking about you need 6 more. I need 6 more months before I leave my parents' house. Get out of here, man.
Right.
Yeah, let them parents live, man. Let them walk around the house naked, do all the freaky stuff they've been wanting to do for the last 30 years they couldn't do. Let it happen, man. Let it.
Right, this dude is just hating. And the judge even told him, like, yo, you could go get an Airbnb spot. They asked him what he did for a job because he doesn't have a job. He said he has his own business. And they said, well, what kind of business do you got? He said, my business is my business.
Yo, how disrespectful is that? Hey, man, how much you want to bet this dude got like $100,000 in the bank?
He got to. He was living at home, rent-free.
Oh man, stashing all the checks from grandma for $11.33 every Christmas. Yeah, just
and then he leave. Then he leave. He gonna say something real disrespectful, flick him off or something, and drive off in a Jaguar. That's that type of cat. Get out of here with that.
And he don't go to the barber. You can see he ain't paid no barber fee.
Money on nothing.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Eating ramen and Cheetos.
All right, fellas, let's go for another flawless segue. So we talked about one story about parents and their issues with their children. Let's segue into another topic, a separate set of parents and their alleged children. So the next topic we're going to talk about to cap out the show, to round out the show, is there was an article in the Sun newspaper this last week about a man, and I'm sure I'm going to destroy his name, but it should be Rymir Satterthwaite. I believe he is somewhere in England, a young black gentleman, and he is alleging in a lawsuit that he is the biological child of Jay-Z, basically the secret love child of Jay-Z, and so he is suing Jay-Z to make Jay-Z take a DNA test. And I guess there's been multiple rounds of legal lawsuits, trying to get Jay-Z to submit some DNA so that he can prove that he's the father. This guy is not a kid, by the way. I think he looks like to be in his, he must be 20 or so. Yeah, or no, 24 years old. He's 24 years old currently. So he's not an infant. It's not a, hey, need child support or anything like that. Although if he is the kid, I guess he needs to. But now the reason this story caught my eye is because in this article, they got pictures, and there is, I'll be honest, and you guys tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think there's a resemblance here in some of the pictures to Jay-Z? Because the article is really doing the best to try to make it look like he could be.
I don't think so, man. I mean, he just looked like a dude. If he wasn't doing the exact poses from every Jay-Z album ever made, like, would you even be like, oh yeah, that dude look like Jay-Z? No. I mean, he's wearing the same outfits. He's literally doing the same poses. He got the Dynasty pose on one. He got the suit on with the white with the black shirt.
He got the blueprint. He got the blueprint pose going.
Yeah. Get out of here with that.
But does the nose and the lips? They are kind of similar. I'm not gonna front. They are a little similar. The kid picture. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm just saying. What do you think, Ish?
A tiny bit.
Ish, what do you think? Weigh in here.
I don't really care, to be honest. I think the kid photo, you can see some resemblance there. But, at the end of the day, for me, this is another dude who's just out to get some money or to get some fame, which will help him get some money. So this is all a big money thing. It could be true. I'm sure Jay-Z was doing his thing back in the day, so he got a lot of notches on his bed frame, but this is just something where this dude is trying to get out there, and this Sun article gave him all the shine that he can have, because like you said, he's copying every single Jay-Z pose, got everything. So if he not Jay-Z's son, like how do you feel at that point? Let's say they do the DNA test, and you're not Jay-Z's son, and you done spent your whole life imitating this man.
Well, I mean, technically he got nothing to lose because he'll lay him anyway. You would lay him anyway. I mean, no offense, maybe his mom was hot back in '92, but we checked his mom out. I don't know if she's on the caliber where Jay-Z gonna be checking for her.
Well, he alleges that this was when they met, the parents, when the mom allegedly met with Jay-Z. Jay-Z was going by the name Rock at the time. I guess he was not famous then, which is 92. Rock. Yeah, I guess that was a little right before before Rockefeller really popped. So maybe his level of the level of ladies he could pull at that time was not Beyonce level. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to diss the mother, but you act like Jay-Z is
No, but in '92,
a supermodel type of dude.
Well, I don't know when did Reasonable Doubt come out?
Probably like 95. 95.
Oh, it was 95. Okay, maybe it was before that. Okay, all right. Well, I'm just saying. I was going by if he was rich, you know.
But what? Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. What if he is the father? Like, does he get to go to the barbecue? Does he get to hug up on his stepmom?
Nope. But what he does get is that $100,000 pyramid, and he's gonna get all that back child support from all those years. It's gonna be a nice little come up for him.
And
he can have a
would
mixtape.
be an heir. So whenever Jay-Z goes on to glory, he gonna get a chunk of that.
No, you wouldn't. That's not automatic.
Yeah. I think he would if he's a living heir.
You can write.
This ain't Game of Thrones. This ain't Game of Thrones. You'll just get it because you Jon Snow the bastard.
Yeah, I guess it depends. Yeah, I guess it depends on the will.
Yeah, the will. Yeah, as long as it's got a will. As long as it's got a will, and he's well, it doesn't matter if he's married when he dies. It's gonna go to the spouse anyway. If he's not married, he's and got all these kids, then like Prince. When you die and you have no will, then everything gets kind of messy because people suing. But Jay-Z, I think he's straight. So.
But he get that mixtape for sure.
But let me
definitely go get a mixtape. People gonna check him out.
But look, dog, let me find out Jay-Z. If Jay-Z's my daddy. I'm gonna be at every family barbecue, hugged upside, be out. Oh, that's my mom. That's my mom, right?
Like, mama, I need a hug.
I need a hug. Yeah, give me a hug.
Playing partition. Oh, wow. Like, I need a hug.
Ish over there acting like he's so respectable, like he ain't gonna do it, like he don't think like us.
He got to now because his mom listening.
Yeah, okay, come on.
Hey, Miss Phenom.
Whatever. Beyonce is a wonderful, wonderful woman, but Beyonce, she doesn't do it for me like everybody else. I don't have no beef with her. I'm not dissing her whatsoever, but I'm just not gonna get googly eyed over Beyonce.
The Bayhive say that, bring all that heat to Black Delegates Pod.
There's no heat to bring. I'm a Beyonce fan. I just said I don't worship her, and I don't feel the need to try to go hug up on her. I already got a wife. What I need Beyonce for? Y'all see how I do that? Y'all see how I do that?
Hey, Mrs. Phenom. Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Phenom. How are you?
Gotta get them brownie points. That birthday coming up. Gotta get them brownie points. So, anything else about Jay-Z and his fake or possibly real son?
I'm gonna say it's not his son because he ain't got that rat mustache.
His mustache is definitely too
mustache
full.
Is actually
that is it.
there.
That's it. This article's canceled. Yeah. You are not the father. The mustache is too thick, and he got the beard too. Yeah, that ain't Jay-Z kid. Yeah.
Jay's beard and mustache is trash.
That was Memphis Bleak just lying to the girl.
It probably was.
Right. That was a freeway. That looked like Freeway son right there. That was the rest of the rock. Beanie. It's Beanie Siegel.
He do look like Beans.
Little Beans right there.
Yeah, you could be right.
Hey, Beans trying to hide right now. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is episode 16 of the Black Delegates. Ryan, we're going to switch it up. If people want to follow us.
We ain't switching it up. You still got to do it. I don't even know that stuff. Where can they find us, Ishmael?
How do you not know where we at?
Dog, I don't even
where
know.
You can find us on social media, we are on Twitter and on the gram at Black Delegates. There's an underscore between Black and Delegates. If you want to follow Ryan on Twitter, you can follow him at The Black Ryan. If you want to follow me, the new and improved host of the Black Delegates Podcast, you can find me at Ish Creates. We are also on the Facebook at Black Delegates Pod. Ryan, if people want to listen, people want to go to different avenues. If they over their cousin house right now and their cousin is just playing their new favorite podcast, they don't know where to go. Where can they go listen?
You can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcasts in your pocket. Whatever you listen to podcasts on, we're on there. Soon to be on Spotify. If you know somebody at Spotify, give us a shout out. Tell them you want to listen to the Black Delegates on Spotify. So that way I could just be on Spotify. And to me, that's an accomplishment in life.
Yeah, we need to get those petitions going. Let's shut down Spotify. We're gonna boycott Spotify
No, we're
until
not.
they put the Black Delegates podcast as a feature podcast.
That is
to
false.
Shut them down.
That is false, sir. I will not be boycotting, but I love Spotify. Hello, Spotify, if you're listening. Please approve our podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, and to Paul, I did watch that Rachel Dolezal thing on Netflix. I passively watched it. I watched it while I was cleaning. It was kind of interesting. I also watched the Obama interview on Letterman, which was very, very good. Ryan, do you want to shout out Joe? Because I agree with Paul. I think we need to give Joe the shout out.
Man,
but I don't know.
Gotta give his phone number.
Joe already got his shout out, so I want to shout out. I mean, you know what I do want to shout out? I want to shout out Cobra Kai on YouTube Red. Because it was such a dope show. Cobra Kai on YouTube Red. It is a Karate Kid kind of a sequel to all the Karate Kid stories. It is about the dude Johnny Lawrence who got crane kicked in the face. It's about him and Daniel both being old and having kids and the problems of their own. It was a great show. I binge watched it over the holiday weekend. 10 episodes, about 30 minutes apiece.
Yeah, I'll co-sign that because I saw about 3 or 4 of those, and they were pretty good too. Yeah, definitely pretty good.
Okay, and this is with black and brown folks?
Yellow.
But Danny LaRusso, Danny LaRusso is Italian or something. So I think
so this is a Karate Kid.
It's actually him.
The reboot.
Gotcha. It's actually him. Yeah.
Okay.
He on there. It was good, man. Some 80s goodness. Some good Cobra Kai goodness where them dudes was just saying ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, and the new Karate Kid. Well, he's Hispanic, so shouts to him.
He was. I was finna tell you that that's Brown delegation. You got to represent that.
Okay, I was about to give you a probation. I was about to say you might not be able to host next week because during the Black or Brown Big Up, you big up in
don't worry,
a white show. It's a brown show, so we got you.
Don't worry, Ish. After this episode, Ryan ain't hosting again. This is much better.
Really doubt.
I told him, put me in, coach. I get that 30 for you, But hopefully you all enjoyed the episode. We might change it up from week to week, whatever who's hosting, but we hope that you will come back each and every week. So we're going to stop ranting and going on. But again, we appreciate your time. Paul, any last words?
Nope, got nothing.
Ryan, any last words?
Yes. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Cobra Kai.
And shout out to G, who again is not with us today, but is always with us in spirit. So we'll check you out next week. Appreciate it. Peace.